Yo, what's up guys, it's Lun-Gi. So today we'll be taking a look at a Dragontail deck profile. So the deck came out on Saturday in the OCG, and over the weekend we had some Yu-Gi-Oh! Day events. On Saturday I didn't participate in any, but on Sunday I went to a couple of them, and I managed to get these Dragon Ruler sleeves. I think this is the one that banishes like everything on the field and grave. Pretty nice sleeves. So yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day isn't actually about like winning. So even if you lose like all of your games, you could still win the sleeves based on like a raffle system. But I think you can only win the sleeves like one time because you do it on the Neuron, Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron, and yeah. So every time I've won like a pack, like it doesn't matter how many other Yu-Gi-Oh! Days I go to, like I never actually like win a pack again. So I think it's like one per person maybe. So yeah, I played against a couple of different decks. I only lost one time. Yeah, I only lost one time. It's only one game for each match. So basically like Master Duel. But I only lost one time, and that was to a brick. So currently the deck is prone to bricking. It's not gonna happen that often, but when it does happen, like it's probably just like GG. Because as soon as you like draw something that can help get you going, your opponent will probably be like too far ahead anyways. But yeah, let's first take a look at the deck list. So I don't know the names yet for these guys, so I'll just put the names in the subtitles. So 3 copies of this Chiki. So on normal special summon, she searches a Dragontail monster, and then all of them basically have the same effect. If they're sent to the graveyard as fusion materials, you can set a Dragontail Spell Trap from your deck to your field. So that's actually nice because all of them are actually good as fusion fodder. So yeah, so typically you'll be normal summoning this to get your blue girl, who allows you to fusion summon. And she's a spellcaster, or he. I don't know if it's a he or she. It is a spellcaster. So next is our blue girl. Quick effect, fusion summons. Yeah, she also sets just like the other card. Sets a Dragontail Spell Trap. So you can use her to dodge like targeting, negation, like Veilers, Imperms, stuff like that. I actually did that yesterday. And yeah, basically she just allows you to quick fusion summon. So playing on your opponent's turn is very nice because you can disrupt your opponent's play and then also like set up for your own turn. So if you ever see this card in your starting hand, that puts you like pretty far ahead actually in the duel already, because you can give back some of your hand traps that you used. Like if you use like Ash and Veiler or whatever, then you can just summon your fusion monster and then you can add them back to your hand, because you'll be using only cards in your hand for the effects. And then 3 copies of Scorpion Dragon. 8 quick fusion summons, but from the field. So it has to be on the field, but it doesn't special summon itself. So it can conflict with the other Chiki. If I have this card and the other chick, if I don't have a way to play after being interrupted, then I'll just like risk it and just normal summon this and then try to fusion summon with this card on the field instead of trying to search with the Chiki. Because if they stop with Imperm, then on their turn they have to have another Imperm to stop it again. Whereas with the Chiki, if I normal summon the Chiki and she gets stopped by Imperm or Veiler, then like I have nothing, for the opponent's turn. So I always prefer summoning this over the chick. And to dodge Veiler, you can go into the end phase, but I don't think that's actually like necessary, because baiting it in the main phase is still fine. And also it has a secondary effect. So these two don't have a secondary effect if they uses fusion materials, but this one does. So this one, it negates a monster effect after it sets a Dragontail Spell Trap. So you can chain your fusion effects to something your opponent activates, and then this will get sent to the graveyard. So your opponent's stuff will be lower on the chain links, and then your stuff will be higher on the chain links because you're not turn player. So then whatever they activated on the field, you can just negate with this after setting. And they can also blow up their monsters and spells and traps with the other dragons. And then 3 copies of this Fire Dragon. So in the graveyard, it's recovery. So you can put it back at the bottom of your deck, and then you can add back a spellcaster Dragontail monster to your hand. So that it also includes the fusion monster, because your other fusion is a spellcaster. So you can't put that one back if you ran out of copies. So that's something to keep note of. And its secondary effect after it's been sent as fusion material is to destroy a spell trap card. Your opponent can, I think it's on the field, yeah, on the field, without targeting, which is actually pretty big. So if they want to change something, then they have to chain it, but then you can just pop the other card. It's very hard to play around an effect like that. So I'm playing 3 copies of this card and the other one, because in testing I felt like you always need to have Dragontail monsters in your hand. So what you instead need to do on top of that is to just like add more like fusion spell cards if you feel like you're bricking. So add something like polymerization, you know, or invocation. But yeah, I feel like maxing out of these is the best way to go, because you don't want to not have any, you know, Dragontail monsters in your hand for fusion summoning. So 3 copies of him, and then 3 copies of the goat. So this one destroys a monster upon resolution of the setting a spell or trap. And then its other effect is if your Dragontail card, or if your monster or something, can't remember exactly, but if your monster or something gets destroyed by card effect, you can shuffle this into the bottom of the deck, and then you can special summon a Dragontail monster from the graveyard. Yeah, so if your opponent is destroying your monsters, you can just use this to summon your Dragontail monsters, which is nice, because then you could summon like Scorpion, and then you can fusion summon if you already use Blue Girl. So that's nice. That's it for the Dragontail monsters. In the hand traps, 1 Nibiru. Only played 1 Nibiru because even though it's very good against something like Yami, it's not good against Dragontail, and it's not good against K9, because K9 can just negate with the rank 5. And also Malice can make Apollousa, because Apollousa is legal in the OCG, and Raziel has the fuel spell, so it's not fantastic. So only 1 copy, and you can't just add back the lone copy after you use it, if you use it as fusion material. So only 1 Nibiru. Triple Ghost Ball. People have been ignoring this card, but in the OCG, Call by the Grave is at 2, so you need to be protecting your blue girl from Call by the Grave. Also your boss, if it's lost on the chain link, you can use Belle to negate its effects to add back, which also will stop its bounce if it decided to bounce a monster on the field as well. So Ghost Ball does come in clutch. It can stop a bunch of other cards as well. It can stop buy steals. It can stop Splash Mage. It can stop the Yummies, the Yummy synchro monsters, because they tag out to summon 2 from the graveyard. So yeah, Belle's actually pretty good. Triple Ash, self-explanatory. So Ash is kind of your enemy in this deck. So I wasn't going to play Call by the Grave, because this deck doesn't care about Maxi, and that's usually why you play Call by the Grave. But Ash Blossom does stop a lot of like it stops your trap cards, because they have a part of the effect that jaws. So it stops your trap card, which is not good, because that's your disruption. And then it stops your fusion and your search spells. So it is kind of annoying, Ash Blossom. Triple Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is nice because it's not once per turn. So if you use Veilers, you know, on your opponent's turn, and then you fusion summon, you can add back Veilers, and then you can negate some more. So that's yeah, that's very nice. The fusion being able to add back any monster from your graveyard is just like sick. And then the last monster, two copies of Maxi. So it's a common Maxi, because I got rid of all higher rarity copies because I thought it was gonna be banned, but they didn't ban it, so whatever. 2 copies of Maxi, and you can add back your Maxi every turn basically to stop your opponent from special summoning too much. So I mean, if this deck doesn't get Maxi banned, I don't think any deck will, honestly, and we'll just go back to 3 sometime next year or something. So yeah, if Maxi doesn't get banned because of this deck, I don't know what to say. That's it for the monsters. Spell cards, 1 talents. You know, I always gotta play talents in my decks. 3 copies of the Search spell card. So yeah, this card also allows you to fusion summon if your opponent has monsters on the field. This includes if they are able to summon a Bysteel on your turn. You know, you just use this and then you can fusion summon. So take advantage of that situation. Very nice. 3 copies of the Fusion spell card. So this allows you to use your monsters in your deck, like basically anytime. But the monster in your deck basically has to be a Dragontail monster, because the other monster has to be a monster in your hand. Yeah, so any monster in your hand and then a Dragontail monster in your deck. A very, very good fusion spell card. It's actually quite balanced in my opinion. A balanced version of like being able to use monsters in your deck. Well, until a Dragontail monster that requires multiple materials is made, it will be balanced. And 2 Call by the Graves, 1 Crossout Designator. It's very nice for like negate, like in the mirror match, negating like cards that you own. Normal negating the fusion spell card in the mirror match, or negating the blue checky in the mirror match. So that's extra utility. And then the last spell card, Prosperity. Deck does have a bit of a consistency issue. So adding Prosperity, because you don't care about most of the cards in your extra deck. You care about like maybe like 6 cards, your 6 fusion monsters, and then the rest are just like utility cards. So you don't care about them like too much. So yeah, 1 copy of Prosperity. And then the last 2 cards, 2 trap cards, 2 trap cards. This one bounces an attack position monster back to their hand. So it can allow you to recycle your own monsters. And then you can recycle a Dragontail card that's banished or in your graveyard, and then you can draw a card. So this gets you extra cards. These get you extra cards in your hand because they both allow you to draw when they resolve. This one negates a spell card, target a spell card, and then negate. If they have something like Droplet, then they can like force the spell card through. But yeah, very useful for negating like spell cards. So yeah, that's it for the deck. Playing 40 cards this time, being a good boy, because you do want to maximize your odds of drawing this card. Yeah, I wasn't playing any like Malcharmies or anything like that, because I wanted like I wanted more real cards. Yeah, I wanted to play more real cards, so no Malcharmies. And then the extra deck, 3 copies of your big boss. This guy will probably get like limited at some point. This guy just being able to add back your cards from the graveyard up to the number of materials used from your hand. So I've been cheeky before by using like 5 cards in hand and then just, you know, going shopping in my graveyard for, you know, the perfect cards to add back with his effect. So that is a thing. A very strong card can also bounce cards in your opponent's graveyard or on their field as well. Monsters on your opponent's graveyard or field. So that's also something to look out for. Yeah, he can force a scoop on his own. You know, during your opponent's turn, like if you open Blue Girl, you can just like discard Blue Girl, then use like 4 cards in your hand, bounce like 3 of your opponent's cards to their hand, and then add something back, and then trigger whatever Dragontail monsters you activated. You know, which is the main reason why I max out on the Dragontail cards. You just want to be like opening them and abusing the fusion effects. So 3 copies of him, 3 copies of the other fusion. This allows you to just pop cards. It's a very strong like control card, because yeah, it kind of forces your opponent to sometimes like suboptimally chain their cards, because you have to chain directly to this with your Dragontail cards. So you activate your Dragontail cards, but your opponent gets to respond. If they don't have a response, then you can add this to the chain. So it has to be added directly to your Dragontail card activations. So sometimes it forces the opponent to just activate something just for the sake of, you know, stopping the timing of this card. And one thing I didn't mention, but both of them summon themselves from the graveyard. If 2 monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, then they summon themselves back, which is why it's so easy to OTK in this deck. It's just like super easy. So even if your opponent gets rid of these, you know, as soon as they like link summon or something like that, then you can just summon them back from the graveyard. So if you didn't use this guy's effect before and they get rid of him, then once you summon him back, then use his effect. So that's something to also like take note of. And then the last fusion card, this card requires a dragon monster, which is your big boss, and then a higher level dragon monster in your hand. So you'll be using your goat and your fire goat dragon. And she's nice for control because she banishes a card on the field or in the graveyard. So in the graveyard is free during the main phase, free quick effect. But on the field, you have to bounce a dragon monster to your hand. So if you're playing this deck with like some bysteals, you can use her effect to banish something on the field, and then you can just bounce a bysteel to the hand. So that's something to look out for. And then once the bysteal's in your hand, you can just use it as fusion materials at that point. Then for the link monsters, one Apollousa. You don't really need to play Apollousa, but this deck can make Apollousa fairly easily. And in the TCG, obviously it can be like access code talker, but I just put it in here. But most of the time, you're not going to be making your link monsters. One Selene to climb up into Apollousa or access code talker in the TCG. One copy of Dharc. So Dharc allows you to steal like Magnemutes in the opponent's graveyard, and then to use their effects. You can take like the Malice Link monsters, and yeah. So basically, it's just to steal any dark monsters in your opponent's graveyard, and then link up into Selene, and then you can link up into like Apollousa or access code talker. Donner. Donner is here just for an easy way to get rid of Baguska. You can get rid of it on the chain, but sometimes you're not going to have access to the goat to be able to pop Baguska. So being able to just make Donner with your fusion monster and then like any normal summon, just like pop Baguska, and then you can fusion summon, and then you can just like do your stuff. But yeah, Donner just being able to be an easy out to Baguska is good. If you don't want to make like SP to lock yourself out of being able to OTK that turn. So Donner's nice. SP Little Knights, of course, self-explanatory. Masquerena. Sometimes you can just end on Masquerena. You fusion summon one time, not using your other fusion spell because it locks you into fusions. But then you'll make Masquerena with your normal summon and your fusion monster. So that you can either make another fusion monster, or you could just like fusion summon on your opponent's turn, and then you can use Masquerena to go into SP Little Knight for more disruption. Also, it's a nice basic play. On Cross Sheep allows you to just reuse your lower level monsters effects and then put like more monsters on board. Yeah, so Cross Sheep is very, very important for like gaining like tons of card advantage. You know, if you end on Cross Sheep, you'll be able to get back a lot of like cards and then search on your opponent's turn. And also, if you don't have Mantis, be able to use Mantis's quick effect fusion summon by summoning it back with, you know, Cross Sheep. So yeah, Cross Sheep is important for combos. And then last card is Artemis. So yeah, Artemis is just there to turn your spellcasters into something, and then use a spellcaster in another card to banish. Half the time you don't really need to do that, but yeah, it does come in handy. Right, that's it for the deck list. Now let's take a look at a basic combo. Currently, the deck doesn't have like a one card combo, so you basically need 2 cards to combo off most of the time. So with this one, opening her and then like, I don't know, Maxi. So your normal summoner, and then you will add Blue Girl, then you activate Blue Girl, then you use Maxi and her to fusion summon your big guy, and then in the graveyard, so you'll trigger him chaining 1 and then her chaining 2. So you'll make him chaining 1 to stop anything like Ghost Ball or whatever. So make this chaining 2. So typically you will add her back. So typically you'll add her back. So you'll add her back, and then set the fusion spell card, right? You set this fusion spell card, then you'll activate it, you'll send her as material, and then you'll send the fire dragon as material, and then you'll summon your other fusion monster, and then you trigger both of their effects. So I usually like just setting both trap cards. So just set both trap cards. And then you'll use his graveyard effect to put him back at the bottom, and then you add her back. And then you will end your turn. So since we started with 2 cards, we do have 3 cards in our hand. So we just have 3 random cards in our hand. So yeah, ending with 4 cards totally in hand. So total card advantage is 8 cards. So 8 cards. So let's just shuffle these cards back and just like see what they are, what they could be. Right, so there's the 3 random cards. Right, then we'll end our turn. So during the opponent's turn, I'll just let them do some stuff. So depending on the deck, so something like Malice. So they'll go normal summon Dual Mouse, then they'll use the effect of Dual Mouse. They'll use the effect of Dual Mouse, and then they'll banish White Rabbit. So we have Manticore in hand, right? We have Manticore in hand. So what we could do is we can just activate this chickie, right? So they got Call by the Grave. We've got an answer to Call by the Grave. So if they don't chain anything, we'll chain this, and then we'll just pop the Dual Mouse. So pop the Dual Mouse, and then we'll use you can use Big Boy, because you want to keep this on the field so you can use his popping effect. Use Big Boy, summon another Big Boy using Manticore as well. So then the rabbit will summon itself back, and then on summon, rabbit will be chaining 1, and then we can make Big Boy chaining 2. This is OCG, so we can add back Maxx, and then chaining 3, Mantis, the Mantis card. So Mantis will set, since we already have the search spell, we can just set this one, and then we can negate Dual Mouse. So now they have Dual Mouse. So now they have Dual Mouse and nothing else. Oh, not Dual Mouse, White Rabbit. So White Rabbit's used, and then Dual Mouse's on-field effect has been used. But if they have a Biseal, they could just banish it and then summon it back. But we do have the Maxx that we open with. Or if it's not Maxx, whatever other hand trap that we had. And then we can still negate a spell card, and we can bounce an attack position monster, and then we have a hand trap. And these cards can also draw into more hand traps like a Fake Velo or something. So yeah, the 2-card combo, it seems kind of weak on the surface, but there's a lot you can actually do with the combo. Also, if you didn't want to add something back with him, you could have also bounced. You could have actually like bounced, like, I guess, the Dual Mouse from the graveyard, so they can't like banish it with a Biseal or something. So next combo is a blue Cheeky plus a Dragontail monster that's not the Searcher, and then any random monster in your hand. So you just activate blue Cheeky, and then you use 2 of them. You summon, so it will be chaining 1, the random Dragontail monster chaining 2, so chaining 1, you can add back your monster, and then you can add back blue Cheeky, and then you will set your search spell card. Add these back. We'll search for our Searcher. Normal summon our Searcher, use its effect. Then we can basically add anything. Doesn't matter too much. Next, can link into Cross Sheep. So we link into Cross Sheep, and then we can use this effect to add back our Searcher. Alright, then we can end our turn. So the opponent can use Imperm to just negate the Cross Sheep on their turn, but it doesn't matter too much. But the main point of this is that we'll be able to get like a ton of advantage on the opponent's turn. So the opponent does some stuff, then we can activate blue Cheeky, and then we can use 2 to summon a boy, summon Big Boy. So then we can trigger Cross Sheep, Big Boy, target this, and then we can chain Mantis and our Searcher. So Mantis will be able to negate something, and set, and then the searcher can set something. So you set these two, add this back, and then we'll summon back Mantis with Cross Sheep. So we won't be able to use these this turn, but your opponent continues with something, and then we can use Mantis's on-field effect. So then we can use Mantis and Blue Cheeky, and then we can make our other fusion. So we can go Blue Cheeky Chainlink 1, and then we can make our fusion Chainlink 2, and then this fusion Chainlink 3, target and destroy something. So summon back, and then we can set fusion spell card with our Blue Cheeky. So these are all set this turn. Alright, so we have monster that we drew, and then two other cards. So they could be hand traps as well. They're probably hand traps actually. Hand traps, or they're Dragontail monsters. Alright, so here, and then then the opponent can end their turn. Okay, so we can just draw for turn, stand by main phase. So these are live now. This is already enough for game. We could imagine that they attacked over Cross Sheep, doesn't matter. So we could just do this, and then, I don't know, use the whole hand, dump code from the deck, summon this. This can target 4 cards, trigger both of these. They try to, I don't know, impermanent or something. We can just use this to bounce it, draw a card. So clear the field, and then we can set 2, and yeah, we can set 2. Oh, we're supposed to shuffle back as well, shuffle this back. Yeah, so on the field is 8-8, GG. So even though that play is not as strong as the first one, it does basically allow you to generate a ton of advantage, and also allows you to be able to interrupt your opponent with both of your fusion monsters, which can be pretty big. Next play is the fusion spell card, and then a random monster. I should actually be saying a random hand trap. Okay, go spell, then 3 cards. Okay, 3 random cards. So we'll activate the fusion spell card, dump Belle. We'll send our searcher to the graveyard. Then we'll summon our big boss. Switch link 1, 2, target to add back, and then we can set our searcher. So spell card. So we can normal summon, and then use its effect to search for Blue Girl, and then we can use the effect to search for fire. Alright, we want to search for fire because we're gonna fusion summon, right? We're gonna fusion summon. So we haven't used fire yet. We're gonna fusion summon, and then we will trigger fire. So fire will be able to set. I prefer setting the spell negator if I can only set 1 for the turn. So now we can actually just use fire to shuffle itself back, and then we can add back Blue Girl. Okay, so this will allow us to be able to fusion summon during the opponent's turn. So having 1, 2, 3 interruptions, because we're gonna make the big guy with the Blue Girl on the opponent's turn, and also we'll be able to. So in this case, we won't have any follow-up. So depending on how strong like your hand traps are and how strong your opponent's hand is, you could just add this card back to your hand with your boss's effect, instead of trying to disrupt the opponent, depending on how strong their field is. If all they can do is just get rid of these cards, then I would just add back. But if they could potentially OTK, you have to try and disrupt them and bounce like this, the biggest threat. So yeah, those are some things to think about. And also, this could also draw a card. Okay, so drew the trap card, but it could draw you into another Dragontail monster like the goats, which will allow you to destroy back row or destroy monster or negate a monster. So that is something, or it could draw you into like a hand trap. So that's definitely something to consider when playing the deck. Alright, so last thing we'll do is just we'll take a look at a random hand and then see what we get. I know some people don't believe it when I say the hand is random, so I'm just not gonna cut anything here. And you can see that there's no cuts. I'm just shuffling the deck. It seems like if you draw an Ash Blossom or something, and Maxi and Call by the Grave, people think that it's not a random hand, you know. But those things do happen, especially to your opponent. Okay, so here's the random hand. All right. Ash Blossom and Maxi. I guess some people are gonna say that it's not random, but it was completely random. You saw how I shuffled. But yeah, so this is the random hand. Okay, so what do we do with this hand? Both of these lock you into fusions, so it kinda doesn't matter. So here, resolving this card is actually pretty good. And since there's talents in the hand, you don't actually fear Ash Blossom. You have talents in your hand, and you have this card. This card, to stop it, they'll need to have like 2 impermanences. Otherwise, you can just play on your opponent's turn anyways with this card. So I would actually just shotgun this. If a Ash Blossom, I can just check their hand. Yeah, I can check their hand, or I can be greedy and draw more cards. So yeah, we can go through each of those scenarios. All right, so scenario 1, they ash this. Right, so we check their hand. Okay, nice. Ice Riziol, and then we have Bonfire, and then we have Impermanence, and then we have Nib. Okay, so check the hand, and then we'll shuffle back the Ice Riziol. So shuffle back the Ice Riziol. Will normal summons activate. They have to imperm. Otherwise, you just get your engine online, so they imperm. Then you can just end your turn. On their turn, they draw a random card. They go Bonfire. You go Ash Blossom, and then if they put something on board, you can just use Mantis. This is in the graveyard. Mantis, go into Big Boy. So Big Boy's effects, you can add back the Maxi, and then you can negate a card with Mantis, and then you can set a card. Since we need follow-up because we got nothing, we have to basically set, the search spell card, right? So then you can just like Maxi if they have a play. But we saw their hand, so we know that it's just a Nibiru in hand, and whatever they drew, you know, they drew like, I don't know, EX or something, or Thode. So yeah, we can just shot the Maxi, and then Maxi challenge. Against this deck, you will 100% lose like the Maxi like challenge. Like if you let them draw like too many cards, Dragontail will just like, you know, fusion summon on your turn, and then just like disrupt you. You know, summon this guy, and then just using like 10 materials in hand, and then just bounce back 10 monsters on the field. Anyway, that's one scenario. Okay, put this back. Right, scenario 1. Right, so another scenario. Another scenario is where you get greedy instead of checking their hand. So activate Ash Blossom. Okay, activate, draw 2 cards. Okay, let's see what we got. See, right? So greed paid off. All right, greed paid off. So, right, so they could still have an imperm in hand. So Manticore is actually your best bet over here. And resolving Manticore actually basically gives you like full combo. So normal summoners, they have imperm. You can just play on their turn. And then we've got 3 very strong hand traps. So that's a thing. But being able to resolve this basically means that your Maxi is gonna resolve on the opponent's turn, the OCG. So yeah, so I would just summon this in case they have like an imperm. Because otherwise you have to just rely on their hand traps. And I don't know, in the OCG, some players can just like open like god hands, and then this will be like nothing. You know, this will be nothing. They'll have like Ash 4, Ash they'll have Call by the Grave 4, and then this they'll have Talents 4, and then you're done for. Yeah, so greed was useful in that situation. Right, so that's greedy. So let's imagine they don't have anything at all. That will never happen in the OCG. They always have something. So this is a fantasy situation. Anyways, so activate, send Mantis, and then we want to send. I'm gonna send blue chick. Summon Big Boy. Then we'll trigger the effects. Trigger Big Boy. So Big Boy will try to add blue chick. And then we will set Search Spell and Spell Negator. It's always a priority. So activate the Search Spell. We know they don't have Ash Blossom because they would have just like asked the fusion spell card. There's no reason not to. They could still have Imperm and decided to hold it. Right, so then one normal summon. These are effects. Guess which one we're getting? Correct, we're getting Fire, because Fire allows us to fusion summon and then add back our blue girl. So summon the fusion monster, and then we'll trigger fire's effect to set the other trap card, right? We'll set the other trap card, and then we'll use fire's effect to put it back to the bottom. And then we'll add back the blue girl. Right, so basically full combo, and then we can end our turn. So here, we need to do some thinking here. We need to do some thinking because a maxi resolving is 100% game. 100% game. So what we could do is we could wait until they do something. So they do something, and then we'll activate this. They'll try to chain block this card by activating something like Call by the Grave. You're like, okay, shot. Call by the Grave. Negate Call by the Grave. So this can be ashed. If they have Ash Blossom, they'll probably just activate Ash Blossom. You're like, aha, you've activated my trap card. Maxi. Alright, so then we can Maxi. So this will get banished. And this will be stopped by Ash Blossom. Then Maxi resolves. Alright, and then this is still live. And then we have we have 3 disruptions, and then they're under Maxi. So that's how I would force Maxi through. Through a Call by the Grave and Ash Blossom. Final thoughts on the deck. I think the deck is very, very strong. It's potentially the best deck in the OCG, but right now it's at the stage where it really depends on the deck building. So for the deck to be consistent, you have to build it right, and there aren't really any right answers at the moment. I have tested out Invoked, and Invoked seems to be more consistent than the pure version of the deck, because you do have access to Invocation, and you don't really care that you have to normal summon Alistair, because you could trigger this effect by summoning it back with Cross Sheep. So that's not really an issue. You can use her as material, and then later on you can summon her back with Cross Sheep to get a search off. So that's very good. The 2-card combo, Alistair plus a Dragontail monster. Yeah, Alistair plus a Dragontail monster. Yeah, Alistair plus a Dragontail monster is far better than this card and a random monster. It's a far better combo. And also Meltdown. Meltdown basically makes going second super easy. If Meltdown is face up, they have to get rid of Meltdown, because otherwise they can't negate your fusion spell cards. And once you fusion summon, then all your trigger effects will go through, and they can't negate anything at all, and they can't respond with anything. So you'll be able to bounce all their cards, and you'll be able to destroy multiple cards. So yeah, Meltdown plus a fusion spell card in this deck is just absolutely insane, crazy. So yeah. So maybe I can show you a play with Alistair in this deck. So let me quickly show that combo as the last part of the video. So this is Alistair plus a random Dragontail monster. The Dragontail monster only affects which fusion monster you'll be summoning from the extra deck. So normal summon Alistair. So add Invocation. Link away Alistair into either Artemis or the Blue Eyes. Seems like the Blue Eyes Link monster has been quite popular recently. Alright, so next we'll activate Invocation. We'll just use Manticore and Alistair, banish Alistair. Alright, fusion summon, invoke Caliga. Alright, so we'll trigger Mantis, and then we will set our fusion spell card. Next, we will link summon Cross Sheep. We'll link summon Cross Sheep. I'm going to use Invocation, add back the Alistair to our hand. So then we'll just be able to use the Alistair as material command, and we can use our Searcher from deck, fusion summon. So trigger chaining 1, chaining 2. So we could add Mantis back to our hand actually. Trigger, setting the spell negate, and then using Cross Sheep to summon back our girl, use her effect on the field, add our blue girl. Alright, so then we can end our turn. Okay, so this gives us a ton of options. One of the main options being that we can revive Invoked Caliga. So if your opponent's playing a deck that's heavy on monster effects, for example Malice or even Ryziel, you can actually just summon this guy back. So for example, let's imagine we're playing against so Malice will probably just be easier. So I mean even the Mulr match, I guess. Let's imagine we're playing against the Mulr match. So then normal summon something, normal summon this, try to get a search, or just chain. We'll chain, and then we'll use these 2 as fusion materials. We can summon this. Then we'll trigger chaining 1, chaining 2 and 3. If they don't have anything, chaining 4 to pop the card. Then we'll set with these two, set this trap, and then set the search spell. So then cross sheep, we'll be able to summon back Caliga. So this doesn't have to be here actually, over here. For Caliga, so then we do have one negate for the fusion spell card, so we can negate that. But whatever they use to fusion summon, so when they have one fusion spell card, we draw a card. Then this, imagine they use the Chicky or something, or the search spell card. So they'll resolve, so they're gonna use one card on the chain. So if they summon this guy, if they summon this, then it's like basically GG. But if they summon this guy, then they can use its effect to try and bounce this. But then they won't be able to get the effects that are on the chain of their Dragontail monsters, other Dragontail monsters. So they have to use this guy to try and bounce this to the extra deck, and then that's the only thing they can do. And we actually haven't used any monster effects up until this point. Yeah, we haven't used any monster effects up until this point. So we could just Veiler that effect, but then they can just attack over this, and then in main phase 2 try to do stuff. So it's better just save the Veiler for like main phase 2 stuff. So then they can attack over this, and then they most likely will not be able to fusion summon anything else, especially because they weren't able to add anything back to their hand. So then they have to end their turn. So we draw for turn, we've got 5 in hand, they've got the search spell, and we can just bounce the monster now because this is live. And then we can also, like, if we can't OTK them for whatever reason, we could also just keep them on lockdown, because every time we just special summon with cross sheep, special summon something here, we can summon this back and then block them from being able to summon like monster ball, being able to activate multiple monster effects. So yeah, if you opened a non-Dharc Dragontail monster along with Alistair, then the fusion monster will basically just be fodder, and then you can just summon back your Manticore during your opponent's turn to be able to like fusion summon this card instead. So you take the play in a different direction. Anyways, that's it for the video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.